Rapper Kid Cudi is now on the stand in the Sean Diddy Combs trafficking and racketeering trial, and reportedly.
Suspicion and suspense today. Rapper Kid Cudi is on the stand right now detailing a threat that Diddy once made to him.
He walked in like he owned the courtroom, leather jacket, cigarette in hand, and a story that could flip the case. This wasn't just any witness. This was Kid Cudi. And what he said under oath may have just changed everything.
Well, I can tell you this, every day the testimony in this trial has been jaw-dropping. Today will be no different. Rapper, as you're talking about, rapper Kid Cudi on the stand, and he is testifying today. Go ahead, take a look at this video, because this is Cudi arriving here at federal court in Lower Manhattan.
In today's video, we break down his full testimony, from the break-in at his house, to the shocking Porsche fire, to the Marvel villain moment that had the courtroom buzzing. Plus, the emotional reaction to what happened to his dog, new claims from Cassie's makeup artist, and why Diddy's former assistant is back on the stand again.
Now a former good friend of Cassie's is coming forward to say that she feared for Cassie's safety and her own.
We were always scared of Puff. Like, he's a powerful person, and we don't know what would happen to us if we spoke out.
Leather jacket, jeans, cigarette in hand, no suit, no nerves. Just Grammy-winning rapper Kid Cudi, or as he introduced himself to the court, Scott Mescudi. And when asked if he was known by any other name, he replied coolly, Kid Cudi.
Scott Mescudi, aka rapper Kid Cudi, walked into the courthouse with swagger, dressed in a black leather jacket, jeans, and smoking a cigarette, before he told jurors about the alleged threats he faced from one of the biggest names in hip-hop, Sean Diddy Combs.
Former executive assistant George Kaplan also testified. He continued this morning, and he left court earlier today after wrapping up his testimony.
And while Cudi seemed relaxed, even yawning at one point during his testimony, what he shared wasn't light at all. He spoke about being watched, being targeted, and what it was like to go from sharing a stage to fearing for his safety. This was no longer just about rumors. This was about the moment things turned real and dangerous.
Kid Cudi's testimony specifically goes to the racketeering conspiracy. In regards to the racketeering conspiracy, you have to prove at least 2 predicate acts, and one of those predicate acts that the
Kid Cudi told the jury that everything changed after Sean Combs found out about his relationship with Cassie Ventura. According to Cudi, one day he got a call from someone who took care of his home. They told him someone had broken in. When he arrived, it wasn't just the physical mess that got to him. He said Christmas gifts he had bought for family were torn open and thrown around. But what disturbed him most? His dog. He found the dog locked in the bathroom, alone. And after that day, he said the dog was never the same. It shook constantly, stayed anxious, and couldn't relax, not even in familiar places. The moment might have sounded strange to some, talking about a dog during a federal trial, but to many, it said something deeper. If someone was willing to scare or harm a pet just to send a message, what else were they capable of? Federal prosecutors reportedly wanted to explore that trauma further, but the judge limited how far the questioning could go. Still, the image stuck with the courtroom. This wasn't just about stolen moments or burned cars. This was psychological warfare, and it reached even the smallest corners of someone's life.
Combs was never charged in that incident, and his lawyers deny his involvement. On cross-examination, Cudi testifying, Cassie told him about alleged physical abuse by Combs, but she did not mention sexual abuse. Defense attorney Brian Steele saying both Cudi and Combs were played by the same woman, and Cudi replied, yeah.
A few days after the break-in, Kid Cudi said his phone rang in the early hours of the morning. It was his dog sitter, panicked. She told him his porch was on fire, but it wasn't just any fire. According to Cudi, someone had cut the top off his Porsche and thrown a Molotov cocktail inside. That wasn't just arson, that was a message.
Cudi says another time his car was set on fire with a Molotov cocktail as it sat in his Los Angeles driveway. The jury seeing photos of the burned Porsche.
Cudi didn't say Diddy's name directly when it came to who lit the match, but he did say he believed the act was tied to the tension between them, and more specifically, to his brief relationship with Cassie. The court saw photos of the burned-out car, blackened and gutted. It wasn't just destroyed, it was torched. Prosecutors used these images to support their theory that this wasn't about jealousy, but about power and fear. They're trying to link the firebombing to a larger pattern. one that fits into the racketeering conspiracy charges.
Will be no different. Rapper is here talking about rapper Kid Cudi on the stand, and he is testifying today. Go ahead, take a look at this video, because this is Cudi arriving here at federal court in Lower.
It's a bold claim, but the jury wasn't just looking at pictures. They were watching Cudi as he spoke, hearing the calm in his voice, and trying to decide whether this moment was part of something bigger or just the chaotic fallout of a broken relationship. If there was one moment that lit up the courtroom and the internet, it was this.
Kid Cudi had never talked publicly about the firebombing of his vehicle till he came here to court to testify at the trial of Sean Combs. There he was in the witness box in a leather jacket, white shirt, jeans, talking about the time he got a phone call from his dog walker saying his car was on fire. He raced home, remembering seeing his Porsche 911 Cabriolet on fire and seeing a bottle on the ground from a Molotov cocktail. And at that point, he told the jury he suspected Sean Combs. Called and brokered a meeting. It happened at the Soho House in Los Angeles, and Kid Cudi gave a very vivid description.
Kid Cudi recalled an encounter at the Soho House shortly after the Porsche fire. He said he went there hoping to ease the tension with Diddy, maybe put the conflict behind them. Instead, what he walked into felt more like a movie scene. He described Diddy standing by a window, hands behind his back, staring out in silence. And then he said the words that left the courtroom buzzing. He was standing there like a Marvel supervillain. There was laughter, but behind it, a chill. It wasn't just the line, it was the image. A powerful man, quiet and still, looming over a situation that had already turned explosive. No threats, no yelling, just a presence. That moment said a lot without needing much explanation. The jury didn't forget it, and neither did anyone else.
That he remembered walking in the room, seeing Sean Combs looking out the window with his arms behind his back like some kind of Marvel supervillain. And at the end of the meeting, when they worked out this whole thing about Cassie Ventura, he asked him, "What about my car?" And Sean Combs says, "I have no idea what you're talking about." At that point, Kid Cudi said he knew Sean Combs was lying.
Her name is Mila Morales, and she's known Cassie since she was just 16 years old. She wasn't there to speculate. She was there to tell the jury what she saw. Mila testified about a night in 2010 during Grammy weekend. After a party hosted by Prince, she and Cassie returned to their suite at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Mila went to bed, but said Cassie came in shortly after, followed immediately by Sean Combs. What happened next, she said, still haunts her.
Come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling, and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things.
She heard screaming. Loud, sudden, violent. Then silence. A few moments later, she says Diddy stormed out of the room. When Mila saw Cassie again, she had a black eye, visible swelling, and knots on her forehead. She took her home. A friend, a doctor, came to check on her and recommended they go to the ER. Cassie refused. It wasn't just a one-time thing. Mila said she had seen bruises before, but this was different. This was the moment that confirmed what many had only suspected. The courtroom stayed quiet as she spoke, and for the jury, it was yet another first-hand account. Not from a stranger, not from a distant source, but from someone who had been there.
For a few days, and I literally called my friend, who was a doctor at the time, to greet her because we couldn't bring her to the hospital. We didn't know what the hell to do.
The general manager of the Beverly Hills luxury hotel took the stand next. He didn't offer dramatic stories, just reservation logs. But what those logs revealed added more weight to previous testimonies. According to staff notes, whenever Sean Combs checked in, Boristats housekeeping always noticed two things: candle wax and baby oil, a lot of both, enough that it became part of his guest profile. That might not mean much on its own, except for the fact that almost every witness has described those exact same items as staples of what they called freak-offs. For prosecutors, it was a quiet but powerful confirmation. The physical evidence was starting to match the stories.
Like a man treating a woman that way. And not just a woman, but a friend of mine that I've known since she was a teenager. So, I've known Cassie.
Back on the stand came George Kaplan, Diddy's former assistant. He'd already been granted immunity, but the jury was still waiting to hear something big. This time, Kaplan spoke about 3 disturbing moments he claimed to witness, 2 involving Cassie and 1 involving another woman named Gina. He also admitted to buying drugs at Diddy's request, including MDMA, and described his role preparing hotel rooms before and after the infamous parties. But even with immunity, his testimony raised eyebrows. It wasn't clear whether he was exposing the truth or holding back to protect his former boss. Either way, his presence in court reinforced one thing: Diddy's inner circle is no longer silent.
Marketing and partnerships building brands at the intersection of sports and entertainment. College of Charleston. He says, I have developed media companies and IP for sports and entertainment icons for 12.
More than anything, this day wasn't about proving guilt beyond a doubt. It was about planting questions, connecting dots, and letting the jury sit with the weight of those images and testimonies for 4 full days. For prosecutors, the hope is simple: that silence over the weekend grows louder in the minds of those 12 jurors.
Vanity Fair, I live an extravagant life, and I make no apologies for it. I'm free as a motherfucker.